Hey guys, it's Haley and welcome to another bookish video. Today I'm going to be doing a very highly requested video. Ever since I did my giving you my top favorite thrillers of all time video, I got a ton of comments asking for the romance version of that because obviously those are the two main genres I read. So I thought I would save it for the month of Valentine's Day. I feel like a lot of people are reading romance in February, so let's go ahead and jump into my favorite romances of all time. Also, I did want to mention these earrings were gifted to me. This is literally not sponsored at all. I was just taking photos and a girl came up to me and she was like, hey, can I gift you some earrings? I have a small business and I see you taking photos. Like, can you take some photos with my earrings, blah, blah. So it was like very random, but I am absolutely obsessed with these. I've been wearing them ever since I got them. I just think they're adorable. So the brand is called Soul and Shine, and she just started. This business is like a brand new baby small business. So I'm gonna link her Instagram down below. She's a local Austin artist. So go ahead and support her if you are a fan of supporting small businesses. These earrings are literally adorable. Like, I cannot get over it. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the romance recs. I think I have 20 books here that I want to talk about, and these are my all-time faves. So a lot of books that I've just enjoyed are not going to be in here. Like, these are the ones that I will die for, that I will fight people over, that I will defend to the death. Starting out with probably my favorite romance series, which is the Simple Wild series by K.A. Tucker. I gave every single one of these books 5 stars. We have the first one, The Simple Wild, followed up by the sequel, Wild at Heart, and then the last little novella, Forever Wild. And this is actually my favorite book of the series. I know it's like really short and I feel like not a lot of people have even read it, but I just think it captures Kala and Jonah's relationship so well, and I just fell in love with the Alaskan setting in this one, and it takes place at Christmas. Oh my god, if you're looking for a wintry series to read, if it's snowy by you, definitely pick this one up. But this is actually a hate to love romance.
Why is the lighting, why did it just randomly get shitty? Hold on.
Hopefully that fixed it. This is a hate to love romance following Kala, who gets some really scary news about her dad, who she's been estranged from, and takes this chance to go spend some time with him and visit him before he ends up passing away, because they get some news that he's sick. And it kind of puts into perspective their relationship and the fact that she wants to try to form a connection with him before anything happens. And when she goes to Alaska, since he's an Alaskan bush pilot, her mom tells her as she's leaving,
girl, don't make the mistake I did. Don't fall in love with an Alaskan bush pilot.
And as soon as she gets to Alaska, she meets this asshole of an Alaskan bush pilot named Jonah, and he is fucking with her and he doesn't like her, and he keeps calling her Barbie and making fun of her for being high maintenance. But eventually, obviously, since it's hate to love, you see a deeper connection develop and how they kind of teach each other different things about being in a relationship and communication. And Jonah helps her through her relationship with her dad and navigating all of the emotions that come up with that. And it's expanded upon even more in these 2 books. So I just absolutely love this series so much. I highly recommend you picking it up. Next, let's go from like super wintry to super summery. My favorite, no question, summer romance is It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. You can just tell by the title. It is so good. It was one of my favorite romances that I read in 2021. I talked about it in my yearly favorites video. It is another hate to love romance. Very similar to The Simple Wild. It's like kind of the summary version of The Simple Wild because the main characters are very similar, the love interests are very similar, the way that they get together is very similar. Basically, our main character in this book, her dad had also passed away and left to her and her sister this bar that he owned in this like little Washington seaside town. So the girls end up getting cut off by their stepdad, and their stepdad tells them, like,
you need to go just deal with this bar. You're cut off. Go deal with that.
And while they're there, they meet some deep sea fishermen who kind of have the same vibe as Jonah and Calla, where it's like, oh my God, Barbie, high maintenance girl, what are you doing here in this like rugged environment? And they're like, listen, if I like makeup and like being cute and Instagram, like it doesn't say anything about me like going on a boat and like being able to be brave and like strong and all of these things. So it's like very much that vibe. And the smut in this book, oh my, yes. Tessa Bailey knows how to write some smut. So if you are into that and you're looking for a summer romance, definitely try It Happened One Summer. Also, if you like Schitt's Creek, the main character is based on one of the main characters from Schitt's Creek. I don't know, I've never seen it, but apparently people who like Schitt's Creek really like this book. Now let's take a break and get into some darker romance. All the next few things that I'm gonna talk about are on Kindle Unlimited. So for those of you that have Kindle Unlimited, go save these right away. These are also really, really quick reads. The first series I want to talk about is the Mindfuck series by S.T. Abbey. This is a dark romance. It's actually a female serial killer romance. Our main character is the female serial killer. She is picking people off from her past that had a part in this horrible traumatic event that has completely scarred her. So she's going through and doing these revenge killings, and along the way she ends up falling for this guy who she then finds out is an FBI agent. Not just any agent, but the one in charge of her case. I know, it's crazy. And across 5 books, you see them navigating this relationship. It's also very thrilling because obviously we're following the murders taking place. It is absolutely insane. The smut is great. The plot is great. The romance is great. I love every single part of it, except for the very last book. It does like kind of go off the rails. But the first 4 books, all 5 stars, all goated. Another Kindle Unlimited duet, not series, but just a duo, so this can be read really quickly, is There Are No Saints and There Is No Devil, both by Sophie Lark. Oh my God, this was such a special and unique reading experience. I absolutely freaking love this duet. It's another serial killer romance, but this time the male love interest is the serial killer guy. He is this famous artist, and him and this other artist kind of compete and go back and forth with their exhibitions. Little does the public know that behind the scenes, they also compete with their killings. So very different other mode of competition. And then this other little artist girl who's like up and coming, kind of poor, kind of scrappy, comes up on the scene and gets involved with these 2 men, ends up falling in love with one of them, and this one is crazy, like actually crazy. I would say if you wanted to like 50 Shades of Grey, you really liked the movies, but you thought the books were really annoying and monotonous, this one will solve all those problems because the smut is great. It's very reminiscent of 50 Shades. There is a lot of BDSM happening, but the plot is just so thrilling with following these murders that are taking place, and the main female character is so much less annoying than, what's the girl's name in 50 Shades? Anastasia or something like that? Yeah, no. Our queen in these books, she's amazing. She is so scrappy and stands up for herself. So fun to follow. And the coolest thing, in my opinion, about these books is that they come with Spotify playlists. So along your reading experience, it'll say like at the beginning of a chapter or in the middle of a paragraph, like play this song from the playlist, and you're reading, and as it's playing, it just like sets the scene. I could like see it all as a movie in my head. I want these books to be movies so bad because the way that the mood was captured by the music was just magical. Like the only way I could describe it is freaking magical. I absolutely love this duet. Highly recommend it to everyone, whether you like dark romance or not. I feel like this is just such a special reading experience. And I think this is maybe the last dark romance book that I have on here, and that is Never Never by Colleen Hoover and Taryn Fisher. This is definitely not as dark as the last two. It's more like dark magical realism almost, because there is like messing with time involved. And this is also a series. There are 3 novellas in the Never Never universe. There was originally just one, and in my opinion, that's the best, but the fans wanted more, so Miss Colleen, you know, she does whatever we want, whatever we beg her for. They ended up coming out with 2 more. I don't think those are as good as the original, but I absolutely love the first Never Never. We are following these 2 high school sweethearts, and they wake up one day and have no idea who they are, who the other person is, where they are, what's going on, like nothing. But they know basic things like what a cantaloupe is, how to drive a car, the social dynamics of like a high school. Like they know things, they just don't know personal information. So they know that something happened and they have to work together to figure out what that is. And along the way, they are really like retelling each other the story of their love to try to remember and figure out who they are and what they mean to each other. I would say if you like magical realism, sci-fi elements in your books, and you also really like romance, you will love these books. Next, should we just talk about a basic one? And the reason why I'm wearing this sweater in this video, you could probably guess based on that what it is. The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I know there's a lot of mixed opinions on this one, but it is my first romance that I really just absolutely fell in love with, and I gotta put it in my favorites of all time. Also, the movie adaptation just came out and I freaking loved it. It's adorable. It's my new comfort movie. I literally sobbed. I know a lot of people think that is a controversial opinion as well, but I loved the movie adaptation. And obviously, based on the title, The Hating Game, you can know, if you don't know the synopsis already, I'll tell you. It is a hate to love office romance between 2 coworkers, and Lucy, our main female character, thinks Josh actually hates her. And when they play these little games that he is despising her the whole time, when really he is flirting. And Lucy just doesn't really catch on to that until they have this big kiss and this romantic moment. And then things devolve from there as they try to communicate with each other, even though they're both, you know, dealing with their own stuff and their own trauma and their own communication problems, but they make it work. And obviously it is adorable because it is one of the most beloved hate to love romances ever, and definitely one of my favorites of all time. Next up, we have another Tessa Bailey who's surprised, Tools of Engagement. This one is so good. I read it 2 years ago, I believe. I think right when it was coming out, but I am obsessed with this book. The rest of the Hot and Hammered series, not so much, but this book I really love. We follow an older female main character. I believe she's in her 30s, and a younger guy, so age gap if you like that. It's not a major point in the plot, but it is just an element of the romance. And this is another hate to love. If you can't tell, that's my favorite trope, where Bethany, our like really anal, type A, attentive, perfectionistic kind of girl, is an interior decorator, and she ends up breaking away from her family's construction house staging whatever company and competing with her brother and saying, you know, like I can redo a house as well as you can. And they make a reality show about it. But Team Bethany doesn't really have any experienced construction workers. And this one guy who she's always hated from their like reconstruction.
What is this word that I'm looking for? Remodeling.
From the brothers remodeling crew, literally quits and is like, it's me and you, girl, whatever. I'm gonna leave this steady job with this whole team and come work with you and try to do this house with you. So they form this bond, they learn more about each other, and they realize that they maybe judge each other too quickly, and they fall in love. Also, Wes, who is our male love interest, he's also taking care of his niece because his sister has some stuff going on. She's not a very effective mother. And like, if you like single dad trope, or if you like, you know, seeing a guy take care of children, oh my God, it is so cute. And again, Tessa Bailey and smut, you literally cannot go wrong. Next up, we have One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This one is so perfect for me and for those of you who, again, like a little bit of magical realism elements in your romance. I feel like it just adds a little bit of spice and makes the story so much more interesting. This one, I feel like it is more realistic, not quite as magical. This is just a kind of suspend your disbelief type of situation. Basically what happens is our main character marries her high school sweetheart. They're living, they're loving, everything is perfect. And then he tragically goes missing and is presumed dead. We go through her grieving process. We're there with her, and she finally gets the courage to start moving on, meet somebody else, gets engaged.
And then her husband, I bet you can guess. Her husband is found. He's no longer missing. He comes back.
So she's kind of weighing the pros and cons between going back to him and leaving this wonderful new relationship, or saying bye to her husband and continuing with the engagement. So you definitely have to suspend your disbelief. I feel like this would literally never happen, but it's not really magic. It's just kind of this ooh, otherworldly situation that would really never happen, that is interesting and fun to see how it would play out. But this isn't a super fun romance. It is a very, very, very emotional. I definitely cried while reading this one. So if you like an emotional romance with a little bit of spice, this is the one. Shall we just talk about probably my favorite romance ever? And it is not even really a romance. You'll see once I tell you about it. It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Obviously, Colleen Hoover is a romance writer. However, I don't think this book is about the romance. I think this book is about relationships and how quickly they can go wrong, how quickly they can change, how volatile they can be, and how bad they can fuck you up. Basically, this book has a lot of trigger warnings. It follows Lily in the devolution of a very abusive relationship. We're also seeing like journal entries from Lily's past relationship with this other guy who also is recently coming back into her life. So we're kind of weighing the relationships, seeing how both of them are playing out, and also hearing about Lily's parents' relationship, which was also abusive, and kind of comparing all three and getting to see those dynamics. It is just so real. These people feel real. You feel so much empathy for them while you're reading them. And it always blows my mind how Colleen Hoover creates these people in these situations that just feel so, so genuine and really contribute to like my greater empathy and human understanding for the world, even though they're not even about real people. So really highly recommend this one, but there are a lot of trigger warnings, and this is not a cutesy romance. It will rip your heart out. I also wanted to mention my favorite holiday romance, The Holiday Swap by Maggie Knox. I absolutely love this one. It came out this past Christmas, and again, this is another one with magical realism elements. I think I just really, really like that in my romances, because again, it just adds that extra layer of intrigue. I literally don't know why I've been having so many technical issues with my videos lately. Please forgive me, but all of my explanation of why I love The Holiday Swap was cut out, and then the entire next book was cut out of this video, like literally randomly in the middle of the clip. Please fucking kill me. Anyway, I will quickly tell you why I loved The Holiday Swap. It is two sisters who swap places because one sister gets hit on the head at work and she loses her sense of taste and smell. So you kind of have to suspend your disbelief with that one. It's a little bit of not quite magical realism, but you definitely have to suspend that disbelief. And the sisters trade places because the girl obviously needs her sense of smell and taste, she is a host of a cooking show. So her sister jumps in to do that for her. She goes back home to their quaint little Christmassy, wintry town to run the bakery, and they each fall in love with these respective guys in each other's lives. It is so cute. It is not quite fluffy. Like, I think there are real emotional issues that get tackled, and the atmosphere is wonderful. It is so entertaining and just fun. I know a lot of people gave this like very median reviews, but I really, really liked it. So I gave it 5 stars. It's my favorite holiday romance I've ever read. And then I also, next up, was talking about November 9 by Colleen Hoover, but that also got cut out. I'm really sad because I had like a whole spiel pitching you this book. I think it's some of Colleen Hoover's best work, but I'm just gonna say I do have an entire reading vlog of me actually reading it in real time, crying over it, giving it 5 stars. So if you want to hear my full in-depth thoughts about why I truly love that book so much, I will just go ahead and link that vlog. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming. Okay, goodbye. The next book I honestly debated putting on this list, but it is one of my favorite books of all time. I just don't know if it's quite a romance, but I thought if I included It Ends With Us on here, then I could definitely include this one. And it is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is not a traditional romance, but it ends up being a beautifully twisted love story. We are following this fake celebrity as she is doing her final interview, kind of going through her memoir of her life with this investigative journalist, and she's going through talking about her 7 marriages. And along the way, you figure out the story of her real, true love. There's also historical elements in here, obviously, since she's going through her life. It's very old Hollywood vibes. And there's a lot of mystery elements in this book as well. It's very exciting, very page-turning. I know it's super hyped, so I'm not gonna spend a long time on it, but it is one of my favorite books ever, period. So I definitely wanted to mention it because the love story is just so nuanced and so real, and it provides representation that I feel like we don't get to see a lot. So super highly recommend that one as well. Next, we have another dark-ish romance. I mean, it's more of a thrilling romance. It is Verity by Colleen Hoover. I also mentioned this book in my favorite thrillers of all time because
this queen, she can do both.
She's the queen of doing both because this book is chilling. It is scary. If you're reading it alone at night, you're gonna be a little freaked out. We're following Lowen, who is a writer, and she gets roped into being the ghostwriter for this very famous writer named Verity, who is in a coma. She has to finish her series though, you know, her fans need something in the meantime, so Lowen is filling in, and she doesn't just write Verity's stories. She actually ends up moving into her home with her husband and her children, and kind of taking over her life. But Verity, despite the fact she's in a vegetative state, is not happy about this. And she kind of finds a way to torment Lowen throughout. And it is just like, I don't want to give anything away, but it is so good. The twists at the end of this book will literally blow your mind. I was throwing the book across the room because I could not believe what I was reading. Also, the romance, very spicy, very twisted. If you like dark stuff, this is the one. Next up, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one because it is so hyped. The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I just read this one last month and it very, very quickly became one of my favorites of all time. It is a fake dating trope between a graduate student and her professor. They are mutually benefited by this fake dating scenario, and it's also a Reylo fanfic, like very loosely based on Reylo, the ship from Star Wars. So I actually have an entire reading vlog I just posted with me reading this book. You can see my reactions in real time, get a full review. So I'm not gonna waste my breath talking about it now when I already did. Hate repeating myself, but definitely wanted to mention this one since it is like my newest favorite. I will link that video, go check it out. Next up, we have probably the most underrated pick on this list, How to Walk Away by Catherine Center. I don't hear anybody talk about this book, but it is one of the first romances that made me sob, that made me feel for the characters. I severely felt every single emotion these characters are going through. It was literally so beautiful. Even outside of the romance, just the arc, the development of our female main character is such a joy to read about. Basically, we are following this girl who is with this guy long term. She really likes him. She thinks they're gonna get engaged, and he's a pilot. And they go up in his plane, and she's like, this is it. This is the moment. He's gonna propose. And then they get in a plane crash, and she wakes up in the hospital paralyzed.
So not the dream engagement that she was anticipating.
And she has to learn how to walk away, how to put the pieces back together within her relationship, within her life, within her emotional world, within the trauma she's been going through. And along the way, she gets physical therapy from this guy who is Scottish and super hot and rugged, and I'm just gonna leave it there. But I feel like this one is severely underhyped. Absolutely freaking love this. Stan this book, buy this book, love it. Also, it takes place in Austin, which is where I live, so I was having fun hearing about the places that I go that are featured in this book. Love it. And to round out my all-time favorite romances, we have Beach Read. This is the first romance I ever read, period, ever, the end. So it has a very special place in my heart. I also just really love the characters. I love the summery atmosphere. We are following these two writers, and they are living in neighboring beach houses over the summer trying to write a book. And they actually have history together. They were kind of nemesis in undergrad in their writing program. And so they reconnect, and they're like, kind of don't like you, kind of don't think you could write this style. So they end up challenging each other and switching writing styles for the summer to kind of cure their each respective writer's block. So Gus is challenged with writing romance, and January, our female character, is tasked with writing this speculative literary fiction book. And along the way, to teach Gus about how to write a romance book, January takes him on these romance-heavy, beautiful dream dates. And obviously, they start out as fake dates, but they turn into something more. And we're also following, again, January's development as a person. She is dealing with grief. She's dealing with tricky family stuff. And that is another part of the book that was really emotional for me, that made me cry, that made me feel connected to the characters. So super love this one, especially for the summer, but it's not too fluffy. It definitely has some emotion to it as well. So with that, those are my top 20 best all-time favorite romances. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video and hearing all about my top favorite romances. I hope they weren't too basic. I hope they weren't too hyped. I can't help it. I'm a girl's girl, okay? I like what we all like, and I don't think there's a problem with that. So thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like it if you liked it. Comment down below and tell me your favorite romance of all time, and I will see you in my next video.